Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. I hope we're live. I hope we're live and direct. You can let me know if you can hear me. You can let me know if you can see me. I don't actually know if there's any messages popping up from Facebook over there. That's interesting. I can see all your comments from YouTube, so that's a good start. Simmy Skim's coming in straight away. Why has he got blue on? It's funny that some people just genuinely do think like that. Live and clear, we're all good. Well, this is a good start. It's a good start for everyone on YouTube. It's not a good start for anyone on Facebook because I can't actually see any comments from Facebook today. Why is that? Chat's not working there. You fix one thing, ladies and gents, another thing breaks. I can't tell you the chaos I had yesterday. This is all fun and games. It really, really is. All right. Apologies, ladies and gents. It looks like there's going to be no chat from Facebook today. I've got no idea why, but you can still watch and enjoy the show. I can't respond to any of your comments. Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to be having a conversation around Jim Ratcliffe. We're going to be speaking about his plans for a new Old Trafford, whether that's a rebuild, whether that's a renovation. I did a video on it yesterday, but I always want to have a conversation with you as a community this morning. We're going to run through that. We're going to run through his plans on the transfer side of things and a kind of a big focus on data, which might be boring for you, but it's really important. And Man United have just not been good enough when it comes to the use of data. I'm going to run through that. Going to speak about the Munich Memorial yesterday. Going to speak about... there's quite a few other stories, and you can let me know what you think in the comments. Let's see who's here from the member gang. And as I said, apologies to anyone on Facebook. It's not showing me Facebook chat. It was showing me yesterday. Nothing changed. And now it's not. Welcome to my life with this software over these last couple of weeks. This has really driven me to the edge, I swear. Let's see who's here for the member gang. Rob, Carl, Josh, good morning to you. Brian and Lily. T, I can see you there. Teklan, Ross. We've got Cobby Busquets. I'm not sure about Busquets. Blakey, Moha. We've got John, Stephanie, Steve, Sue. Plenty of regular faces tuning in. Good morning to all of you. Right. I'm looking forward to today's show. Someone's saying the screen is blurry. The screen is not blurry. That is on your end, not my end. Let's get this show on the road. Now, yesterday, of course, was the memorial at Old Trafford for the Busby Babes. It was the Munich air disaster anniversary. And that's a photo there of Manchester Platz out in Munich. All the United fans who went out there, and fair play. It's definitely an excuse for a booze up. And maybe not an excuse for a booze up, but you just combine the two. Thousands of them went. It's really quite impressive. There's one thing I want to speak about here this morning. There's just quite a few things I want to speak about this morning. I want to speak about this. Rubens, that's a good, kind of fair comment there, saying, I saw Mike Phelan on the Munich Memorial. Is he still with United? I'm pretty sure that Mike Phelan is still our assistant manager. I think he is. I don't think that's ever sort of been taken away. But he's not really assistant manager, is he? It's Steve McLaren and it's Mitchell van der Gag. I think on paper, I think Mike Phelan must have just kind of quietly stepped into an ambassadorial role at Manchester United. It feels like that's what's kind of happened without it really actually being said. But look, I want to pull this video up here. All right, let's go full screen on this one. So that's Jim Ratcliffe. That's Sir Alex. It's Paddy Crerin there in the background, I think, as well. That is an owner, or should I say part owner, of Manchester United at Old Trafford for the Munich Memorial Service. Now, this shouldn't really be a talking point, if I'm honest. This should just be par for the course for being the owner of Manchester United. But it is a talking point because the Glazers have never been there in nearly 20 years. Jim Ratcliffe is absolutely bloody massive, by the way. He really is. Everyone's talking about how high he is. How high he is? I mean, he might be high as well, but also tall. And there's going to be people, so what? It doesn't matter this, that. It does. This does matter. These small things matter. Just as much as the grand big things matter. A new Old Trafford. An overhaul of the summer transfer business. They're the massive jobs that matter. But these small things all begin to repair a relationship between a fan base and at least one part owner of our football club. He has been doing nothing but the right things since he came in. And yeah, simply just be, as I said, this shouldn't be a talking point, man. It shouldn't be a conversation that we need to have. Oh, look, our owner is at the memorial service for the Munich air disaster, which is one of the most significant and important parts of our club's history. Of course, the owner should be there, but they never have been. Sue, you're saying it shows he's invested and not only financially. Of course, that's the way I want to look at it as well. And that is the way I am looking at it. People are like, oh, he's local this, local that. My dude lives in Monaco. If you're really still trying to pick holes and you're just, I don't know why you're doing it. I really don't. I think you must just be so deeply offended that we haven't got all this pot of Qatari gold that you're just refusing to see any sort of positives. But he really has done more as an owner of Manchester United before he's even an owner of Manchester United than the Glazers have in near 20 years. Now, what I want to do now is run through this. So there was more meetings from Ratcliffe and Ineos at Old Trafford this week. I'm going to run through what was sort of talked about there in those. Also, yesterday we had confirmation of an important step for the ratification. I'm going to run through that. Then we're going to speak about the Old Trafford plans, and then we're going to speak about the transfer overhaul. I'm going to go down and read a few of your comments first. What are you saying down there? He's leading the way for the future of our club, says Chaos. Well, I hope so. And he's a billionaire dude. He lives where he wants to on that particular day. I mean, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. Man, if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't just stay in Manchester my whole life. Stephen saying, I like how Jim has started, but not happy with the plan to turn Old Trafford into the second council house in Manchester. You're saying TLC at Old Trafford? Dude, let's not make any sort of mistake. Old Trafford needs more than TLC. You can't put a lick of paint at Old Trafford and go, there you go, it's fit for purpose. A lot is needed. And we're going to run through and speak about that. It's definitely going to be a good conversation, talking point here. Oh, look at that, man. Ethan, you just upgraded. You become a UPTV legend. First of all, welcome to the gang. Second of all, you just gifted 5 memberships. Let's see if the buttons work today. It feels a lot less chaotic. This will be working perfectly today. Nice. That worked too for the first time if the Facebook chat was showing. But for some reason, what's that? What about over here? Is that it there? No. I wonder if I'm even live on Facebook. Maybe it just didn't work. Apologies if I'm not live on Facebook. If I'm not, there's nothing I can do. No, man, Ethan. Oh, man, I love this community. Every single time this happens, it puts a smile on my face. You can see all the legends up there. They're all the new members because Ethan, you just gifted another 5. And Daniel, you just gifted 5. And I tell you what, Akash, I can see you down there as well, dude. You just gifted 10. I'm live on Facebook. Well, that's good. Thank you very much, Ashwin. It's good to know that. But for some reason, the chat's not coming up for Facebook. I'm really, really sorry. But because there's 20 of you overall gifted memberships, let's pull up this bad boy. One sec. I like that one. Get the big gong out. Get the confetti out. Genghis, you can't polish a turd. New stadium for me. Yeah. Old Trafford's turd. Yeah. All right, mate. All right, mate. No, let's not go extreme. It's just there's a lot to do. Now, in terms of the meetings that Ratcliffe held this week. So he was back at Carrington. He was back at Old Trafford. A source said Ratcliffe is getting down to business. We already know that. Other figures from Ineos are understood to be spending extensive time in Manchester as the audit continues. Like, I know that we're sort of waiting for the announcement, and we're all sort of thinking, well, nothing's going to happen behind the scenes. Like, it's all happening behind the scenes. Look, I suppose we'll find out, right? We'll find out. But it feels like when Ratcliffe's ratification is made official, that things could happen quickly. That's what it feels like to me. I might be wrong in that, okay? But just the way that everything, just all the everything that we've seen so far suggests that's going to be the case. And there's something that important that happened yesterday, right? I'm going to pull this up, which is a lot of information. It's a lot of boring stuff. But this is from a general meeting that happened yesterday. Manchester United, a general meeting that happened with all the shareholders, Class A and Class B, where they voted on something important here. And you can see this. To provide for certain transfers of Class B ordinary shares without conversion of such shares into Class A ordinary shares. And look, this is how much power the Glazers have. All these votes here, it did not matter, all right? Because look how many votes, power votes, that the Glazers have by comparison, all right? When they vote for something, it goes through. That's just the case. But what this does is it takes it a step closer for Jim Ratcliffe to have that 25% confirmed, because now, to simplify it for you, you know, the whole dual share structure at Manchester United is complicated. Class A shares are the ones you can buy on the New York Stock Exchange. Class B shares are the ones that only the Glazers can own, because they put something in that you weren't allowed, even as a Glazer, you weren't allowed to get rid of any of your shares unless you converted them to Class A shares first and then you sold them on the open market. Therefore, you could never sell any shares that had any voting power. Therefore, the Glazers, even when they reduced how much they owned of the club, they lost relatively little voting power. That now has changed. That's been voted through. Of course, it doesn't mean that all Class B shares can all of a sudden randomly be sold in the open market, but providing for the certain transfers of Class B shares into Class A, so that Class B shares can go to Ratcliffe without them being converted to Class A. So he retains that voting power. And that's the shift away from that dual share structure. Hopefully it means now that the door is open for further shares being passed on to Ratcliffe. You know what I think will probably happen? Well, I don't know, really. It feels like in a couple of years' time, they might do like an equity swap sort of thing. That's exactly what's happened. You know, when people are saying, right, okay, when's the big takeover going to happen? When is Jim Ratcliffe going to own 100% of the club? Is it ever going to happen? Well, we already know that he owns more than 25% already. He owns 29% because, and this is what I think will happen more in the future, Jim Ratcliffe has pledged $300 million worth of investment into Manchester United in return for another 4% of the club. So that's an equity swap. I'll give you X investment if you give me X percentage of the club back. Done deal. I imagine that's what's probably going to happen in the future. And bit by bit, Ratcliffe's will increase, and bit by bit, his ownership of Manchester United will increase until he has more than 50%. All Ratcliffe needs to own is 51% of the club. He doesn't need to own 100%. As soon as he reaches 51%, he has all the power on the decisions. He has the deciding vote. And right now he's on 29. So all he needs on paper is another 22% of Manchester United. Then he's the majority owner, which isn't that far away when you think about it. But of course, he then has to get those from the Glazers. Who's that? Someone just gifted 5 membership, mate. Miles, thank you very much, dude. Big up to Miles, everybody. Mate, the day he gets 51%, I'm telling you, we're doing that party bus. Get Party Boy from Jackass. Don't. Anyone else? I used to watch Jackass all the time on MTV. Then Dirty Sanchez was a bit extreme. I did like a bit of Dirty Sanchez, but it was a bit... Anyway. I want to go back here to the Daily Mail and just this little comment that they've made on Jim Ratcliffe. They're using a source as well. They're saying, Jim is a man in a hurry. He's 71 and he wants to get on with it. This is an opportunity to leave a huge legacy. And that right there is... that's what I really, really hope to be the truth and the case. That Jim Ratcliffe's focus is on the legacy that he wants. Because, mate, if you're 71, like, I'm never going to be in that position. But in life, you're driven by goals, achievements, you know, get a promotion or become better at doing something. That's how you drive yourself forward as an individual. Not everybody does that, but Jim Ratcliffe will definitely do that as a successful entrepreneur. So at 71, he's already became Britain's richest man. He's already got a multi-billion pound company. He's already got houses in Monaco. He's already got from a financial sense, there's not much. There's always the ability to make more money, and billionaires want to become trillionaires, and millionaires want to become billionaires. You can never have too much, right? But if that legacy is what is driving Jim Ratcliffe, then that is what will create a win-win situation here for United fans. Because the legacy for Jim Ratcliffe is Manchester United becoming successful again. And that's where we move on to a massive talking point, which I did a video on yesterday, but I always like to speak about it live with you direct as well. The Wembley of the North. First of all, Wembley's crap. I didn't actually say this in my video yesterday. Probably should have done. I do not like... Mate, Wembley is such a concrete... I don't know how to describe it. I've seen plenty... Who have I seen? I've seen United beat Newcastle there in the League Cup final. I've seen us... Easily the worst away day I've ever had, still, was when we lost to Spurs. I think we conceded after... I think, was it Christian Eriksen bloody scored after like a minute against us? It was awful. The away end was awful. It's just so big. It's very hard to create atmosphere in a massive bowl because there's the acoustics of the stadium. There's no way for the sound to bounce off. But in theory, right, the Wembley in the North being the biggest stadium of the North, a stadium that has a 90,000 capacity up north, right? I'm going to put this down as a poll today. And you know what I've managed to do here? I've managed to make polls significantly easier for me to do. Yes. Go on, Sam. This is an upgrade. I've got the chat right next to the screen here, so I don't have to open different screens. What would you do? What do you think United should do? We'll leave this. We've asked this question before, but we're going to ask this question plenty of times. We've got renovate Old Trafford, or build a new stadium, right? I know there's more than technically those two options because you can build a new South Stand, you can renovate what's already existing. So I'm just kind of simplifying it down into two questions. Do you want to see a new stadium? Or do you want to see as much money and effort put into rebuilding Old Trafford? It's a curious question, I think. I think so anyway. One sec over there. Do I want to make sure I didn't miss that? No, I didn't miss that. There's a super chat there. Let me read this one out. Sid Gaming, how you doing, buddy? You're saying, in the case we get a new stadium, would you be willing to sell the naming rights like Barcelona have done? Absolutely would. 100 million %. I would sell the stadium naming rights. Bear in mind that the stadium naming rights are a finite time. There'll be rights for X amount of years, so it's not permanent. And second of all, has anybody ever called Carrington the Aon Training Complex? Anybody? Do you think anybody is going to be calling the new camp the Spotify new camp? No. Nobody will. It might be nice for the brand to use in their commercials and to use on their brand packs and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter. You will always call the stadium what it is. It's kind of written right there for United what they should call a new stadium anyway. We're going to move from Old Trafford to New Trafford. I mean, it's literally written right there for you. You haven't really got to think much about it. Oh, man, look at that. Anuj. Oh, cheers, Anuj, man. Legend. And Calvin, you just gifted 5 memberships each. I can even see the names. We've got Emmanuel, Nathan, Karim, Cameron. Some names up here as well. Rofi, Mick, Richie, and Tommy. Lots of you getting gifted memberships. We'll do one big 10 one. Combine them for the... Look at that. One tip. Come on, Fergie.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell.
Football, bloody hell. Now, let's run into this story, because there's plenty of information in this from James Ducky yesterday, which I ran through in the video, but, well, let's have a conversation now. Jim Ratcliffe wants Manchester United to create the Wembley of the North. He believes that the north of England should have a world-class venue to rival Wembley with a 90,000 capacity. And he's not wrong in that. Okay, he's not wrong in that as a conversation starter. Old Trafford. I wonder how many years ago you'd be able to say this. I'm trying to think of when Old Trafford lost the tag of being the best stadium in England. I don't know when that was, but it feels like a long time since we've been able to call Old Trafford the best stadium in England. But once upon a time, we had the best stadium in England. We had the best training ground in England. We had the best team in England. We had the best manager in England. We had the best of everything in England. Everybody looked towards United. It's not the case anymore. And that's why all these different conversations are coming around a new potential stadium. And you can go down here, and this is the big thing here, right? And I've spoken about this before, and I actually want to do, at some point, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into this particular thing. Like the land that Old Trafford owns. Because there's not many, / any other clubs in the Premier League who have that privilege. Spurs managed to build the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium right next to White Hart Lane. United owns so much land around Old Trafford. And I hate to do this, but you look at the plans that Man City have just been granted by the council. I think £300 million a stadium upgrade, which is now going to, I think, add 7,500 empty seats to the Etihad Stadium, on top of adding, I think, a 9-story hotel, as well as a business complex. So what that is there is building something that's more than just football. It's kind of like a village, if you want to call it that. I don't know what way to describe it. But again, I hate to do it, but you look at what City have done. And even with their training complex, you look at what City have done. They've got their training complex. They've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 or 9 pitches around it. They've got an academy stadium next to it. It's frustrating, but again, City have done it right. Well, maybe not ethically or morally, but they've done the correct thing. They've built a training complex rather than just a training ground. Anthony's saying, why do you need a hotel for football fans? Dude, what do you mean? But building a hotel for local fans? It's almost like the hotel isn't for local fans. It's almost like Manchester United is one of the biggest global clubs in the world. Just because you wouldn't want it as a local fan, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be good for the local area. Building a hotel, maybe building a shopping complex, building a business centre, building offices where people can work, and building it all up onto land which currently sits unoccupied. That there is land redevelopment. As the government might call it, levelling up. So the fact that we've got so much land means that there is an ability and an option to build a new stadium kind of next to Old Trafford, which is where that concept comes in. I'm going to go down here and read some of your comments on it. I think the super chat there from Garlic Bread Man, and I'll come back. And I find this is the biggest. This is the biggest task that Jim Ratcliffe has, which is saying a lot because, you know, we've got to overhaul the whole structure of our football club. We've got to build a new training ground, sorry. We've got to overhaul our transfers. But there is so much that needs to be done there. But the biggest thing is a new stadium. And this is the thing that's going to take the longest as well. Let me read out this super chat here in 1 second there. Garlic Man, you're saying, I want United to build a smaller stadium that we play in whilst Old Trafford is rebuilt 100% around the hallowed pitch. That way we get to keep the pitch which has the... So what you want to do is take everything down around Old Trafford, leave the pitch, and then build... I mean, good luck. Yeah, buddy, there is a Trafford Centre. If Man United had not just kind of left, I say Man United, I mean the Glazers. If the Glazers hadn't had left Old Trafford to pretty much fall into ruin, by comparison, the thing is what we're talking about here about falling into ruin is we are comparing it to the elite, the absolute elite, top level football clubs, and by that margin. And by that label, they have let it fall and run into ruin. And because a lot of people will be looking at this, right? Tons of people, most United fans, will be looking at this going, why can't United do that? Why can't United do what Real Madrid have done at the Bernabeu? I would love the idea of that. I think it would, by some margin, it would be my favourite thing. To build inside Old Trafford and bring it up to modern day standards. But you'd still be left with a structure that's been there for, north of 100 years now? Real Madrid, when they were doing that, they moved to a separate... I think they played their matches at their training ground. What, you want United to play matches at Carrington? That's not possible. What, you want Manchester United to share a stadium with City? That's not possible. What, you want United to share a stadium with Liverpool? That's not possible. I think I've asked this question to you before. Because if Manchester United were to do this, right? If Man United were to focus on renovating Old Trafford, please tell me in the comments what stadium you genuinely think that we're going to play at for... Let's be honest, 2 years? Roughly 2 years? Take over Goodison Park after Everton leave. Wembley. Chaos saying Leeds. Why does Wembley seem the obvious choice? Surely it doesn't seem like the obvious choice. It strikes me that you know what it is. I was thinking about this before. Okay, this is the way I see it. If Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos was to make the decision that would probably please most Manchester United fans, it would be to bring Old Trafford into as close to the modern standards as you possibly could. But by doing so, you know what would probably happen? It would cost north of 750 mil to do it. And probably in maybe 20, 25 years' time, you're faced with the same conversation. All the work that you've done there, you're probably going to have to do it all again. Or you can spend more money, build a new stadium, and build something that's going to have an infrastructure that you don't really need to talk about for like 50, 60 years. So it might not be a conversation that pleases a lot of fans now, but in the long term for Manchester United will probably be more of a beneficial decision. It's a really curious one, this one. And I still don't know what is feasible. And that's the thing. We always talk about expanding the South Stand over here, right? Going over the railway that we've never built over. You can see the shape of a new Old Trafford there. And I tell you what, right? I'm gonna do a video on this in its entirety, but I think you'll like this. I'm gonna do a reaction video to something because I don't think anybody's actually spoken about this. Don't say I don't treat you well. In fact, I know nobody has. One sec. Let me put it up. One second here. Right, you ready for this? This is cool. I think I've already done something on this previously-ish. Right, let's pull this up now. Big up to BondiBot for making these, by the way. Guy's incredible. Get his stuff on screen there. So this is what it would look like if that South Stand was completely renovated to the size and you build over the railway. I mean, this guy is good at software. Seriously good. So that's what it would look like there. Goes around here, does a little drone shot, and then flies into the tunnel. Look at this. I'll go full screen on this one, I think. I'll actually know you can't see it. Wait for it. Nice little wide shot there. That's what the new South Stand will look like over the railway as well, with a little walking path there. I know there's Harry. Don't tell me about planning restrictions and all that. Blah 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 blah. I know. And look at this bit down here. Wait for it. Pull it. And this is wicked. It's cool seeing the visualization, isn't it? To sort of bring it into what it might actually work out like. And then you go down there. There's a train station right underneath the stadium. Man, that'll be handy. But anyway, I'm going to do a full reaction to that video. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I'm going to go down to the poll here and see what you're saying. We've got 600 votes, right? 65% of you are saying build a new stadium. 65% of you. Even if that's 60, and I guarantee you 100% of you would love the idea of an Old Trafford being rebuilt. But I think a lot of you, and I think I'm quite a big part of me is in this mindset as well. It just feels like it's kind of past that point, and to bring all the insides, all the guts of Old Trafford up to modern standards. Mate, if you see Old Trafford, man, you're kneeing someone in the back. There is no space. It is tight. It is compact. The concourses are small. The facilities. Yeah. I'd be ridiculously sad to see the back of Old Trafford. I really, really would. But I question whether it's actually possible to bring that up to the modern day. Why have I got all these on screen? Whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Right, I was supposed to be getting that ready for the next talking point. Right, anyway, let's move on to the next talking point. It's the new stadium is not going to be something that we get an answer for anytime soon. But if Ratcliffe wants to build the Wembley of the North, and he's already been speaking to Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester, and remember, by the way, West Ham ended up getting the London Stadium for dead cheap, bastards. I'm pretty sure that Man City got some funding for their old stadium. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, people are saying, oh, there's no way that United are going to get anything. The financing of it is going to be a big sticking point because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it will involve borrowing. There is no way that the building of Manchester United's new stadium or the renovations of Old Trafford will be done by cash. That will be financed. How that's financed, we're yet to find out. Would Ineos put that on their books? Would it go on Manchester United's books because it's building something that would benefit Manchester United rather than the Glazers just putting their own debt on the club saying, well, you pay for it. It is a different type of debt, but we're all burned by debt and any association with it, even if it was ultimately for the good of Manchester United. I'm going to find out. Well, we'll find out about that further down the line because I haven't got any idea on that yet. Moving on to the next talking point. I've accidentally had that all on screen there. That was a rookie mistake. The transfer strategy. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll read a couple of your comments out before I move on to that. Ross, mate, Andy Burnham sounded pretty... I played the video yesterday. It sounded like he wants to help United. And Manchester United is, from an economic perspective of Manchester, surely the single biggest if you want to call it that, a tourist attraction. It must bring in so much to the city of Manchester. So, of course, the mayor of Manchester is going to want us and to help us become bigger and better because then Manchester directly benefits. That's kind of a win-win situation. Same as if Jim Ratcliffe gets a legacy at United, it's because United have been successful. So we as fans win. Everyone wins. Same thing as if Man United become the best team in England again and we build even bigger, then Manchester benefits and everybody wins. So he's kind of on the same wavelength. What's going on yesterday? There's more than one company who would sponsor the stadium build. No one, I don't think, is going to sponsor the whole stadium build. But there would be plenty of people who would want the naming rights. And Ineos too, by the way. Could happen. Can't rule that out. But in the more short term, we look at transfer strategies. We look at Omar Barada as a CEO. We look at sporting director. We look at transfer overhauls. And this here about the plans for Jim Ratcliffe when it comes to what he wants to do. Maybe not necessarily what he wants to do personally, but what Ineos and the changes that Ineos are driving. And it's, of course, spearheaded by Jim Ratcliffe. United will focus on data and youth in their summer recruitment as Jim Ratcliffe reduces the transfer powers of Erik ten Hag. Now, I've spoken about Elise before, and I've spoken about Branthwaite before, and I'll speak about them both in a bit more detail. But this is from Mark Douglas from The Independent, and it's this point here. Jim Ratcliffe and his Ineos team intend to give data a prominent role in the club's revamped recruitment operation. And, again, you might find this boring. But it is a huge part of modern football. Data. Now, Man United tried to do this in-house. Again, when you've got a new concept and a new idea and you bring it into a workplace and an environment, everybody can kind of learn to use it. It's like, I don't know, you bring it into an office and nobody knows how to use the Adobe Suite. The Adobe Suite is the future. Trust me, you need to know how to use it. And they go, oh, okay. They get on some YouTube tutorials and they start using it and they can do bits of it. Little face swap here. Little bit of lighting over there. Nice, could. But if you were to go outside and get an expert on Adobe Suite and bring them in, you'd be like, wow. They would show you things that you had no idea how to do. That's what data has been at Man United with that Tracker Man. They created this Tracker Man system that brought in all this data and information. United had swathes of data and nobody who knew how to use it. Hence why it didn't really make a difference. Now, we've got Dominic, and again, it might be boring, but trust me, this is the way the modern football's going. Dominic Jordan was brought in as I think he was the head of data science at United. I don't know what his exact job role is. But he was brought in, and we've also made another appointment last week, which I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover this video, this concept in full in my lunchtime video, because I always get it in 10 minutes. It's much more compact. But looking at what Nice did, and I think this is quite an interesting one. Mania saying unstructured data is awful. Yeah, it is. Data is only as valuable as the person who understands it, right? And when it comes to what Nice did after the Brailsford audit, they got Florent Gasolfi. This video, by the way, is going out hopefully on Saturday. The deep dive video into what Nice did with Ineos, and especially after the audit. And this is a little bit of a insight into that. So that's Francesco Farioli. He was brought in as Nice's manager this summer. And it wasn't because he had an unrivaled, incredible managerial career. He had managed 2 teams in Turkey and was at Alanyaspor for what's that? 14 months? Pretty decent record. Not terrible, but a 40% win rate. Francesco Farioli was not the next big thing before Nice got him. But what Nice did with Florent Gasolfi and the new CEO, I can't remember the name of the new CEO now, they analysed all the data. They pulled it all together and they identified Farioli, who, by the way, and this is where the data comes in. Can you guess what manager he worked with prior? I think it was in a coaching capacity. There's a certain Premier League manager that he worked under or worked with. And it's kind of reflective in the football that he plays. Let's see if anybody knows who it is. I'll go down to the comments. Richard, you're saying, Sam, best in class scouts equals data plus best in class scouts equals successful transfer strategy. Now look, Oluwafemi. There we go. Got it in the end. And Jonatech, you both got it. And Matt Rogerson. De Zerbi. So he worked with De Zerbi. And if you look at what Nice have done this season, it is not a coincidence. They have identified an exact manager for the style of play they wanted. They looked at all the data. They didn't look at how many, what's his win percentage? Oh, yeah, go on and bring him in. They've basically profiled the manager in the same way that you profile signings because you minimize the risk. Of course, the eye test is important, especially when it comes to young scouts, not young scouts, but scouting young players too. But Farioli was, what, is he 34 now? Didn't have a massively impressive record. The reason that they brought him in was data, and it worked. However, I'm not saying that data is everything, all right? Hello, Chelsea. The concept of focusing on data and focusing on youth is brilliant, but if you don't use it properly, it'll blow up in your face. Again, what I just said there, data is only as good as the person who is using it. They just went after young players. I'm not even sure when you think about it, I suppose. How much data did they really... Yeah, Sam, you're asking down there, how much data really did they use? They just went after the big name young players and thought, oh, let's sweep them all up. Just a fan down there, what are you saying? What does data offer compared to experience and knowledge of the game? Data cannot tell if a player has a winning mentality or high pressure temperament. Data tells how fast, not how hungry. Kind of sounds like Richard Keys, that comment. At no point did I say that data in isolation was enough. But Man United not using data properly is a fucking massive problem. And has been a problem with all of our transfers. Hence why we're so reliant on the eye test, on listening to people like Erik ten Hag for a signing that they might know. Because nobody understands how to use said data. That's what has to be a massive change in this transfer policy of United, and what I think will be going forward from the summer. And this is a good thing, by the way. This is a modernization of a football club. If you do not use data now, you are going to get left behind. Don't tell me about this scout called Steve who found some player called Trevor and he's going to be the next George Best. I mean, he might be right. Okay? He might be right. But use data properly. Data is there to help you understand what has happened before. You can build patterns and you can almost predict what's going to happen next. Angel, the data is a tool to point you in the right direction. Correct. But it is a tool that Manchester United have not used at all. And we tried with the tracker man, but the person in charge of it was John Murtough, who didn't know what he was doing. So you need the right people and you need the right tools. And at United, we've currently got neither. That's why we need the head of recruitment. Something that's going to happen this summer. Some people down there, quite a few of you saying, "Oh, so happy we didn't get Poch." Isn't it fun what's going on at Chelsea? I really do think I really do hope that it will. It feels like it's going to come crashing down on Chelsea. They've got like 7 or 8 or 9 players all on contracts north of 2030. It's bad. Stretford Gamer, you're talking about data analysis? Yep. Omar Barada. My Omar Barada deep dive. Again, we are busy this week. Working on the Omar Barada deep dive, working on the Ineos and Nice deep dive. And the Omar Barada one is, if I do say so myself, fantastic. I know you shouldn't blow your own trumpet. I'm not blowing my own trumpet. I wasn't the one who edited the video together. But it's wicked. Now, in terms of summer transfers, I imagine this is one that's going to happen. And I want to know from you. Look, there's going to be some of you that think Mason Greenwood should come back. I'm not entertaining that. I'm not having that conversation. The question I'm asking you is, how much do you think we'll get for Mason Greenwood? In my opinion, when we sell him this summer. Because we should be able to get a good amount of money. I wonder how much we'll get. I'm going to go down there and read your comments. So Greenwood, of course, is 22. He's got his whole career ahead of him, really, elsewhere. I'm going to go down here and see what your comments are saying. Stu, you're saying 50 mil. Chris, you're saying 40. 25 says Lilla. Free Sheep says 65. 50, 40, 40. 40 at least. 20 to 30. 50 mil says Wendy. I don't know. I have no idea how you put a price on that. I imagine it would have to be sort of a percentage up front and then the rest come in add-ons if certain things, certain like, what are they called? Milestones are hit. I imagine that's what will probably happen. But given his age, given his football talent on the pitch, it's got to be north of 40. Jason, you don't think we'll sell? I completely disagree. I do not think he's coming anywhere near our football club, and nor do I think he should. Sell him, reinvest that money. Let's move forward. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's see how that one develops. A little side story here, which I thought was quite nice. Let me close that. It feels a lot less chaotic today. And I apologise to everybody who's watching on Facebook. I'm really sorry that I haven't been able to answer your comments and get you involved in the show today. I don't know why that's not working. It should be working. And the problem is, and here is a big issue that I've got with the software. I can't test it until I go live. There's no way for me to test Facebook in like a private environment. Facebook is so... And basically, I would just encourage, if there's any of you watching on Facebook, come over to YouTube. YouTube is created for creators, for communities. Facebook is not. And it's the usability of Facebook is so bad by comparison. So bad by comparison. So I would encourage all of you who are watching on Facebook, come over to YouTube, because honestly, it's 10 times better. Facebook is trying to be what YouTube is, and it will never, ever get there. Look, it's kind of a nice little story. You saw the photos of Robin van Persie with Fergie. Where is that photo? I think it's here. Like, do you know how... Oh, that's the wrong one. Do you know how hilarious it is that Van Persie decided to come to Old Trafford to watch us play West Ham instead of going to Arsenal, where they were playing in a game which would, if they, would keep them in the hunt to maybe win the Premier League against Liverpool, a huge game, and he doesn't care. He's like, no, I'd rather go and see Fergie. 8 years he spent at that club. Ooh. It must really, really annoy. Must really, really annoy Arsenal fans. Seeing photos of Van Persie and Fergie must just be like, if you ever get into an argument with an Arsenal fan, just keep that photo and you just hold it up to them, and they must just get riled up. Man, I would get furious. Got angry with Tevez for a while, but it's just that the Van Persie one is different. It's on a different level. It's not that he hates Arsenal. It's just he doesn't care. He just doesn't care that he spent 8 years there. He's like, nah, I won the league. I want to go speak to Fergie. I want to go to United. I want to go train with United's first team. And that's what Van Persie is doing now. He's working on his coaching badges. He's already been to Carrington before. That's what that photo was there. Him and Benny McCarthy. I imagine there'll probably be some new photos coming out too. But he's there. He's going to be watching training. He's going to be conducting meetings with Van der Gag. I think with John Murtough as well. Try not to do any meetings with John Murtough, mate. You might not learn much. But it's cool. I love Van Persie. I wonder whether I'm trying to think of what good strikers have become good managers. As a curious community question down there. I'm not saying that there aren't any. I'm definitely sure there are, but you can let me know in the comments. Because it really feels like midfielders become better managers. Solskjaer, of course, becoming a manager. Couldn't quite manage the levels of Manchester United. Ruud van Nistelrooy started. I'm really excited. Is he still at Mate, aren't PSV absolutely walloping it this year? He's still at PSV, isn't he? No, Peter Bosz is at PSV. When did he leave PSV? Was it last year? Oh, Ruud. I forgot about that. Resigned in May. Who knew? Well, should probably have known that. Benny McCarthy, you're saying down there. Fergie was a striker. I thought Fergie was a defender. Klinsmann, Thierry Henry. Ooh. What else are you saying down here? Was Fergie a striker? Thought Fergie was a defender. Steven Gerrard being crap as a manager is so much fun. Rooney's not. Let's not speak about Rooney just yet. I don't know. It'd be cool to think further down the line, Ron Van Persie comes back and wins a title with United. Man, he would love that. I swear Fergie was. I need to go down here in the comments. You're making me. What position did Sir Alex Ferguson play? Oh, yeah. He was top goal scorer in the Scottish League in the 1965-66 season. Look at that. I didn't know that. Plays as a forward. I thought he was a centre-back. My bad. Got that wrong. Sam Man, you've read his biography. All right, humble brag. I've read his biography as well. The white one. Have I got that down there? There it is. That bad boy. Great book. See if there's any good photos in it. What have we got going on here? No, I don't want to look at Fergie and horses. That's not good. Oh, baby, that's a great photo. Look at that bad boy. See if we can get this on camera. Probably be a little bit too blurry. Fergie in you won't be able to see that because I haven't got the autofocus. Fergie in a kilt, looking suave. Anyway, maybe I'll read that again. But that felt like probably the most enjoyable, calm show that we've had. I apologise to everyone on Facebook that the chat wasn't working. I don't know. I can't tell you. Every time I fix one thing, something else breaks. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, this. But the main talking points today have all been around Ratcliffe. And he has been making all the right moves that an owner of Manchester United should do. And I'm really hopeful for what's coming next. Optimistic, yeah. Ready to get hurt, yep. Hopeful, of course. Hope is what drives you forward as a football fan. Okay? Well, it does for me anyway. I enjoyed that show. Tomorrow I'll be here, of course. I'll be here on Friday. Remember, as I said, I'm going to be having surgery next Tuesday morning. So we've got, what days? We've got Thursday, Friday, and Monday. We've got 3 live shows left. So make sure you don't miss any of those. I've got some giveaways down here I can do. It'll be fun. I am waiting for the announcement as well. It should hopefully, I swear to it, better be coming before Tuesday. Come on, United. Don't waste any time. People speaking about Eriksen. I don't need to speak about Eriksen right now. Much love. Thank you all for tuning in. If you can, drop a like on the video. It makes a big, big difference. Yeah. I'll see you all soon. And as I said, sorry about Facebook. Not my fault.